Today.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, it's different for us. We normally have our guests in the studio. Today, you're down the line from your office complex in Birmingham. That makes it sound very grand, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely. I've been to studios before, so sorry I couldn't join you today. But yes, it's great. Welcome to my office.
Rachel, for those people that don't know you, I've given a bit of an introduction there, of course, a little bit about you. But for those people that don't know you, give us a brief background and how you've got to where you are today, and what are the key things that you offer businesses today?
Yeah, no, thank you. So I'm a business owner and entrepreneur first and foremost, and I've always worked in the media, and I've just got really good at doing publicity for my business, and now I've helped thousands of business owners across the country achieve the same. So I've always worked in media myself. I started off working in radio, always working with SMEs, small enterprises, and know that every single penny counts. And then I had my ad agency, so kind of worked all the marketing right across the board, above the line, below the line. And then I set up, when my daughter was quite young, I set up a magazine called Mums in Control that I franchised around the country. And it was a time that the business was doing extremely well. I was interviewing loads of celebrities. Print run was amazing. We were printing about 250,000 copies at our peak, so we're large on some of the glossy women's magazines. And I got to the stage where I really wanted to raise the profile for the magazine and for myself, and thought, this is all PR. I have no idea how to go about it. So I did what most business owners would do, and I hired a PR agency who do a great job, by the way, and got publicity on Good Morning Britain, in the Daily Mail. I really saw a difference how PR helped my business and transformed my profile, my credibility, and most importantly, sales to the business. But then, as you may remember, we had the crash in 2008, 2009, and I could no longer afford my agency. So I got really good at doing it myself. So I just came, to understand what the media need, and that's what I'm going to share with you, hopefully in this interview, about how to connect to the media, how to give them great stories, that emotional connection. And since I got kind of sussed it, it just clicked with me. Gone on to interview, done hundreds of interviews on radio, most of the TV channels, women's glossy magazines and national newspapers, and now I love it. And since 2012, I've literally been dedicated as a media matchmaker, connecting business owners to journalists, but teaching them how to do their own PR. So I'm not a PR agency, but I can certainly connect you to the right type of journalist and inspire you to do the PR yourself if you want to.
Do you think people understand the power of PR properly, and what you've achieved? Is it something that everybody can achieve, or was it just unique for the time, unique for the situation you found yourself in, and you did it and it worked for you? Will it really work for anybody else if they go down the same route and they follow the same techniques, the same processes that you did?
Yeah, it's amazing, Steve, and I get so excited about it. And it happens time and time again, but we're quite scared because we don't know how to go about PR or where to start. But absolutely, now could not be a better time. To put it into context for you, there's over 44,000 media outlets. So a media outlet is like a TV channel like yourself, or a radio station, or a newspaper. And there's over 70,000 journalists in the UK. So something like the Daily Mail or the Guardian, they might have 100, 150 journalists that will all write for different sectors. So absolutely, it works for everybody. But where the magic is happening now is it's not just traditional PR, it's digital PR. So it's all online. We are our own media outlets. So people are always looking for content, stories, and expert comments. And literally every single week, we help businesses connect to journalists and get success. I teach people just connect to radio producers that are looking for stories on the BBC, and you could be on radio within a couple of hours. So yes, it's even more accessible now than it was way back when I first started.
Fundamentally, what do you think the biggest mistake is? Is it the way we present ourselves? Is it the way we write our press releases? When you talk to people who want to use the skills that you have, what are the things that you say to them most often?
The biggest number one mistake I think people make, and I interview lots of editors now and producers of radio stations and TV channels, and they all say the same message. PR is about making an emotional connection. It's about telling a story. It's not selling your business. So advertising sells, PR tells. So if you remember to tell a story, make that emotional connection, even if you're B2B or you're in an industry sector, you want the story behind it. They're not interested in it's the so what. They're not interested about your business and what you do. They want the story behind it. So the number one mistake, Steve, that people are making is in their press release, they're kind of writing an advert, which I get, and don't get me wrong, I've done it myself. But what you actually want is to write the story behind it and make sure that story matches the audience.
Can you give us an example of that? Because I hear what you're saying. When we do our media training here, what we tell a lot of our delegates that come on the courses is it's all about reverse storytelling. We all have a habit of telling stories linearly from the beginning to the end. Once upon a time there was la 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 la. And in fact, the important bit is the bit that comes at the end, the punchline. And many a time they don't get there. They don't get to the opportunity to tell everybody about what they want to tell them about, or they've left it so late in the story that people have lost interest by then. Is it about getting your headline out there straight away, telling them what it's about straight away, and showing the connection, the empathy with their audience?
Yeah, without a doubt, all of those things. So the hook is the most important thing. You know, I interviewed a journalist that writes for the Times, freelance journalist, and she said to me, you know, you can just put the headline in less characters of a tweet, because we're the journalists, we understand what makes a good story. So it's about making that connection. And an example is I'm hosting a Meet the Journalist event at the Festival of Enterprise shortly at the NEC, and I've been sending out press releases on behalf of it, and we've got fantastic exhibitors that are going along, and even one of the top national, I won't say who they are, exhibitors, they just sent in a press release that was just simply an advert to say, oh, we're going to be exhibiting at the Festival of Enterprise. That's not really a press release. It's not really of interest. What they should have said is, you know, this is how we're helped transforming people's lives. This is the businesses that we turned around. Here's some case studies, some success stories. This is what you can do when you come along to the event, rather than just put their, you know, they put their angle from a selling point of view, not from a telling point of view. So yeah, just grabbing your headline is the most important thing.
How short do you think you should keep your headlines then? Because it's interesting you say that. While you were talking, I was just looking at the headline you wrote, young lady, and how to connect to the UK media to share your stories, articles and expert comments. Or the actual headline was how to position yourself as an expert and secure PR for your business. Is that even too long? Does it need to be more concise than that? Do you really need to sit down and, if you're going to spend any time on anything, be thinking truly of where your headline is? Is that headline going to capture the imagination? Is it going to draw the reader, the editor, the presenter in?
Yeah, it's a great point, and yes and no. The best thing to do is to think about where you want to get featured, who is your audience, and have a look. So if you want to be in the Financial Times or a trade industry sector magazine, have a look at their headlines. What are the lengths of their headlines? And you need to kind of mirror them. Are they sensationalized? Are they technical? You know, kind of, are they in layman's terms? So, you know, just mirror the length of it, but no, short and concise. I think it gets it across. It's not too long. You know, you just need to summarize it really to the point and put your big point forward. If you've been on, you know, Dragon's Den, or you've been in The Apprentice, or whatever you've done with your business, you want to grab their attention with that. It's like any email marketing campaign that I know you've covered off in your wonderful shows. You know, marketing is just grabbing someone's attention. PR is exactly the same.
Do you know what I find amazing is that here we are, we're giving this advice. We have guests who come on the programme and they get an hour of content. They sit here, they are interviewed, they talk about their business, they explain the virtues, the positive things about what their business can achieve for their clients, and then they walk out of our studio door and do nothing with it. Is that actually the intrinsic problem that small businesses and SMEs and any business owners actually have in the UK? They just don't understand the power of the assets that they create and that they have.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we've all done it. We're all busy in our business, especially the smaller business owners and the solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. You know, we're so busy, we're just on to the next thing, aren't we? But absolutely, you know, an interview like this in your studio, they should absolutely leverage it, put it onto their LinkedIn profile, send it out to their database, put snippets, have a press page on their website, you know, so it shows that they're media savvy, because it has a snowball effect. Now that I've done this interview with you, people will be able to see what I look like, what I sound like, if they feel it's relevant content to their audience. So it's your show card. If you get an opportunity to get featured on this, I would highly recommend it. But, absolutely, make sure that you're leveraging your PR, because if you've just been on a local radio show, you could be on the nationals within half a day or that very same day, or if you've been in the local regionals, you couldn't snowball into a national news story. So definitely leverage your PR.
All right. Listen, really interesting on this one. We've got some questions that I'm going to fire at you. There is one question I want to ask straight away. Can somebody, and this is a very leading question now, can somebody who is not truly an industry expert be perceived and present themselves as an industry expert by clever media manipulation? Can they do that?
This is the thing, I thought talk about this. An expert, if you look up the definition of an expert, is someone with a great source of information that's knowledgeable in their field. If that is you, if you're watching this and you can genuinely talk about your industry sector and your business, yes, you are an expert. I interviewed Janie Lee Grace on Radio 2 just a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying, when we're looking for experts and producers looking for experts, I'll just Google and maybe sometimes see who's written a book and, who's just an authoritative person. So absolutely, if you can talk from the heart, but don't be, you've got to have the right values about this and be authentic about it. If you don't know your industry, don't position yourself as the expert, but you certainly should know your own sector if you're in business. So yes, you are the expert.
Fantastic answer. We've got another definition of an expert here, and that's a drip under pressure. Ex been, has been, and squirt, as we said, a drip under pressure. Listen, more from Rachael in just a few moments' time here on this edition of Business Connections Live. Listen, I hope you're enjoying today's show. I think this is actual information that every business should be using. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. If you think about the editors that are in the radio stations up and down the country, particularly the BBC, they've got a lot of content that they've got to generate. They've got to make stories. They've got to have stories. Now, at the moment, of course, there is a lot of Brexit going on. However, when Brexit does finally finish, which could be, in maybe 10, 15 years' time, and we stop talking about it, then you're going to find that the media outlets are going to be searching for content. Now, why shouldn't they be talking about your content? But as Rachael says, it isn't about a story about, we've made this great box. What you've got to say is why this great box actually makes a difference to the people who use it, how it can save them time. You've got to make the story. You've got to sell the sizzle. The story is the thing that sells. Start thinking about stories. When I was doing shopping television, it wasn't about the pan that cooked the chicken. It was about the way your family would enjoy the taste of that succulent chicken that you'd cooked using the pan. So start thinking of it a little bit like that, and I think you'll find that very useful. More for Rachael Taplin in just a few moments' time here on this edition of Business Connections Live. Now, that leads us on. I just alluded there to Brexit and all things to do with Brexit. It just goes on and on and on. A couple of weeks ago, Linda Bazant joined me on the program. Great advice. Importers, exporters. We still don't really know what's going to happen at the end of this particular month, depending on when you're going to be watching the programme, be it live or pre-recorded. But where are we going to be? Who knows? But listen, still valuable information if you are in circumstances where you want to be certain that you can import and export successfully after Brexit, and the other things you as a business owner need to be aware of when it comes to Brexit. With the key highlights from that programme, here's Linda Bazant. So what are we talking about in today's programme? Well, joining me in the studio is Linda Bazant. She's a barrister. She also deals with data protection. I know what you're doing right now, and also is a Brexit consultant. And we're talking about how to prepare for a no-deal Brexit.
I think we all thought that we were ready on the 29th of March. And then, of course, there was a big upset when we actually didn't leave the EU. An awful lot of businesses are annoyed because they prepared really hard for the 29th of March. And it's been left in limbo more or less ever since then. I think their worries are that there is so much information coming out from the government website at the moment. It is information overload. Really helping them out with import-export, the forms that they need to fill out to prepare for no-deal Brexit, where to go on the government website for the different types of information that they need, especially if they've got, for example, employees that are working in Europe at the moment, how it's going to affect them, accountants, lawyers, professional status, what do they have to do now if there is a no-deal Brexit? Yes, I am, and what I'm encouraging people to do is to continue with business development and networking in the way that they always have done. But really, I suppose that the businesses that I've been talking to that are really concerned are the ones that are import-export businesses. If you go to the government website gov.uk/Brexit, all of the information that you need is on there. They cater for small business and the larger business, so everything is on there. You can also sign up for daily emails that they send out to you on all of the different areas that will be affected by a no-deal Brexit. There's already been a change, for example. The EU a few months ago said that if you had a .eu domain name and you were based in the UK, you could no longer use it, and they were going to take it away from you. However, about a month ago, they decided that maybe that wasn't such a good idea. But the one thing that you can be sure of is that if there is a no-deal Brexit, there will be lots of paperwork to deal with. Now, that's paperwork that is brought forward by our respective governments in the UK and across the EU. But of course, businesses deal with business. So they will be talking to their counterparts in Germany, in France, in Spain, and all of the other countries, and working out a way that they can actually work together and fill out all of the forms and so on, so that there is as little disruption as possible. Currency, the strength of the pound against the euro. If we have a deal or a no-deal Brexit at the end of October, what happens to the pound? Is that going to be stronger? Is it going to be weaker? What issues are you going to have when you're buying product? What businesses need to do if they import and export is look at all of the processes and procedures that will be changing for customs and excise. Look at any forms of the new forms that they need to fill out. Are there any processes that they can perhaps join to make them, for example, a form of trusted trader, perhaps, that will help them when dealing with the EU? All of those kind of things they need to look into. And one of the most important things that I can't stress enough is it's all very well for you to have looked at your business and made sure that all of your processes and procedures are in place, but if you deal with third parties, you need to make absolutely certain that they are compliant as well. They need to make sure that they have got all of the appropriate registration numbers that they need for exporting and importing going forward. That is, if you want to import and export with the EU, you must have this number or you will not be able to trade. Most businesses already have that number, but it's prefixed with an EU prefix. Now, any business that wants to start to trade or is trading at the moment will have to have a GB prefix. So any business that is wants to start trading from the 31st of October, apply for your EORI number now. With regard to export-import, although you're seeing some of the adverts on the television and hearing them on the radio about the fact that we're leaving at the end of October and that you need to make sure that your business is ready, my name's Linda Bazant from LRB Consult, and today we've been talking about the possibility of a no-deal Brexit and very basically covered some of the bits and pieces that you would need to do. So if you're an exporter or importer, make sure that you've taken the appropriate advice. And remember that the government website gov.uk/Brexit is being updated on a daily basis. But of course you can go to your local chambers of commerce, any trade association that you're a member of, and they should all be able to help you. If you haven't got one already, please apply for an economic operator registration identification number immediately if you've not already done so. If you are a large organisation that trades globally and you haven't already received this, apply for authorised economic operator status if you think that that would meet all of the assessment requirements and that it would benefit your business. Please make sure that any third party that your company deals with has also got all of these processes in place. Otherwise, that's going to come back to bite you later. If you're dealing with personal data from the EEA, audit all of your contracts now to ensure that you've the correct mechanisms in place. And remember to ensure that all of your third-party suppliers have done the same. The Information Commissioner's Office website will continue to have updates with regard to a no-deal Brexit. So if you need advice on these or any other issues regarding readiness for Brexit, or you need a speaker for an upcoming event, please contact me on 07 957 422 069, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn.
My thanks to Linda Bazan. Some really good information. EORI, that's a difficult one to get out there occasionally. Some fantastic information. If you want to watch that programme along with another 270 odd shows, then simply go to our website. By the way, if you're thinking that you'd like to be on the programme yourself, or you'd like to have a show like this for your organisation, for your business, turn your readers into viewers, that's what we say here at Business Connections Live, simply get in touch with us here. The email is studio@businessconnectionslive.com. That's studio@businessconnectionslive.com, or you can always pick up the phone and give us a ring on 01784 256 777. That's 01784 256 777. You can watch the programme on Facebook. Of course, you can watch it if you're watching it right now on LinkedIn as well. We're on LinkedIn, we're also on YouTube. In fact, LinkedIn is proving to be very successful when it comes to sharing this kind of program and raising people's profile. So if you want more details on that, then simply go to our website, find out how you can be a guest on the show. Just go to businessconnectionslive.com. That's businessconnectionslive.com. Very good afternoon, Steve Hyland with you here. Hope you're enjoying today's program. We're talking to Rachael Taplin, and we're talking about all things when it comes to raising your own personal profile and making you an expert. It isn't that difficult to do if you do it right, if you follow the tools that Rachael is going to explain to you. Rachael, when it comes to, and lovely to have you on the show, by the way, Rachael, when it comes to talking to journalists, I suppose one of the biggest questions that people have is, where do I find out their names? Who are they? Where are they? Because, you know, if you're sitting in your office, journalists aren't going to be picking the phone up and calling you, are they?
It's quite easy to find out now with Google. You can take a bit of time. What most PR agencies do actually is subscribe to a media database, and we provide that for our members at a really fraction of the cost, because that's the difference really. There's two elements: it's getting the story right and that emotional connection, and then you're dead right making sure it reaches the right type of person. What you don't want is all your hard work and you've got a great story for it really to just land on the news desk, because yes, it probably will get looked at, but so will 200, 300, 400 other press releases. You want to send it to the health journalist or the manufacturing writer or the business editor, so that it lands the right people. So you can literally just pick up the phone and do it the hard way and ask, you know, do you have a property journalist or a health writer? The smaller the publications, especially some of the trade, they might only have 4 or 5 journalists working there, so they tend to work across the board. But the largest national magazines, you know, you need to find out who to speak to. And you mentioned earlier about BBC Radio. I'm a big advocate for getting interviewed on the BBC. They're 60 to 70% talk. Just contact the producer, just find out who the radio producer is of that show. And, you know, if there's anything, a trending news story that you can comment on, or that you are the expert on, and that you feel you've got hooked to the story, they would probably love to hear from you.
Once people start to recognise that you are a source of good content and good media, then I would imagine they'll start coming to you. Is the initial steps quite difficult, though? I mean, what are the huge mistakes? Is it the fact that they write the press releases wrong, they contact the journalists too often, they're aggressive when they're on the phone? Why aren't you talking to me? Why aren't you running my story? Do they have to be treated, the journalists, with kid gloves, and the radio producers as well, with kid gloves? Do you have to be very, very sort of lots of empathy, taking it easy, just holding yourself back a teeny little bit? Or can you be a little bit more proactive and strong with your resolve when you're talking to them?
A bit of both, but no, actually, they
well, thank
are
you for
happy
that,
to hear from you, Steve. They're happy to hear from you because they want great content, consistency. I interviewed the producer from Talk Sport and Talk Radio last week, and he was saying, you know, we don't mind an email once a week. This is what I do. I'm here, you know, because just sometimes then, you know, when they're looking for a guest expert and all of a sudden your credentials drop in, they're going to go, oh, Rachael Taplin, she's the girl I need to speak to. And they've seen you quite a few times.
What
So
about when it comes to
absolutely.
fees? Do you ever get paid for it, or is it all about the raising of your profile and then what you do as an individual? Say you've done a few appearances, or your articles have been taken up by a publication. Is the money made on the back of that, using that as the publicity, or when you're on a radio station, do they pay a fee, for instance?
Not so much on a radio. So sometimes they will have a budget to allocate to it. But no, really, you're there to be the source of information, and they will introduce you. So you can give them an introductory, your how you want to be introduced, how you want to be known for, and then your back credit at the end. So they'll mention the website, hopefully if you're lucky. So no, sometimes you can get paid to write the articles. I've seen people do it, and I've helped people get commissioned to maybe write 6 or 8 articles, but don't expect that. What they're going to do is promote you, where you'll be able to leverage it, and hopefully they'll put a backlink to your website, but certainly mention your business name and what you're known for.
Well, the most important thing to remember is that one radio broadcast or one TV interview, and you will have talked to more people than you will meet in your life. And that is the real value of this. And I think sometimes people don't see that. We do all play the numbers game, though, don't we? And we all think that, the more the merrier. And sometimes it's the quality as well. So is it wise then to be talking to niche publications and niche radio stations so that you're very targeted on the topic and the subject that you're a specialist in?
Yeah, absolutely. PR is not about ego. It's about targeting what's the end in mind. So you should be, your message and your stories and your content should be shared with the people that are going to read it, that are listening to, watching that radio show, watching that TV channel, or listening to that radio show. Demographically wise, if you're just looking at working mums where I was quite across all the different demographics, which was brilliant. But you might just be trade from a manufacturing point of view. So you might want to talk from a manufacturing from like the Telegraph or the Times, or you might want to go into the trade magazines. So absolutely make sure you target it to the specific audience that you want to reach.
All right, let's talk through the process, because I think a lot of people are sitting there going, look, this sounds right up my street on this one. This is exactly what I want to do. It seems to be an alternative to the very expensive PR agency, because there are PR agencies out there, of course, that don't write great stories or great radio stories. When it comes to making a good story, what, in your opinion, makes a good story for the media, and why will they choose your story? What's the criteria? Do you have a template? Do you have a format that you follow? Is there a way that you write it and then you follow it up? What is it that makes a Rachael Taplin story stand out above all the other noise that they're receiving? Or is it just the name Rachael Taplin?
Oh, bless you. I wish it was. It's just simple, but it's knowing where to start with, and it's following a formula. So there's lots of different ways you can get stories. And yes, we provide templates. So at Media Matchmaker, we train you how to do it, but we give you the templates too. And anybody can sign up and join, and they can be a VIP member, which means you get access to everything free for 30 days. So you can test it yourself. But it could be things like, the way the news now writes the stories is they're very reactive. They look themselves to see what's trending, and then they reflect the stories on what's trending in the news. So yes, of course, we're always talking about Brexit, but anything that's trending or breaking, you might be able to comment on. So, look every day and see, right, for 5 minutes, what's trending? Is there anything I can be topical about? Have you got any case studies, any success stories that you feel that could share that are successful? Those are a great way. Have you got any survey, any stats? Some publications and some TV channels and like BBC News love statistics and surveys. So there's lots of different ways, but we give you all the different ways to approach them. But it can be simple, Steve, as just introducing yourself to the media. This is what I do. These are the sectors I specialise in. There's a few articles I've written. I'd love to contribute. It can be as simple as that. And we have great success from our simple introductory email.
That's just amazing, and you make it sound so simple. I just wonder if it's because it's got Rachael on it, Rachael Taplin. Oh yeah, well, we'll listen to her. She's a sensible so-and-so, and normally the stuff that she gives us is good. And I just worry about that. So really it's about building a reputation. It's about making contact and for people to be working with you. It's interesting what you're saying. I was reading a piece about headline hijacking, where you look and you see, and what's happening is that some people are shoehorning their stories into the headlines, so that it gets a bit of traction when it goes to social media and it starts trending that way. And it's backfiring on a few organisations. So there is some caution here, isn't there?
Yeah, like with anything, you want to make sure that you're being authentic with your approach and that you are riding off the back of news stories that are out there for the right reasons. Absolutely. There seems like there's national celebration days that are coming up and national days that you can ride off the back of. So it's National Chocolate Week this week, or it's Mental Health Awareness Week. So anything you have in your business that you can help, the media are going to be talking about it. So there's certain things that you can literally hijack and ride off the back of that they will be grateful for you to approach them with, because they sit down each day and they sit down and plan around what's trending, what's coming up in the news stories. So if you give them some help, they will definitely want to work with you. And Steve, I know you're saying, it sounds really simple, and I know it does, but don't forget, I haven't shared this with you, I'm dyslexic, so writing is my fear. I'm scared of approaching the media. So honestly, if I can do it, and I've helped thousands of business owners do it as well, you guys watching this can do it too.
Now you're making it sound way, way, way too simple. And I think it's amazing what you've achieved. One of the other things, and I can't remember whether it was you I was talking to or somebody else, but when it comes to national days, I think it was you actually, wasn't it? If the day doesn't exist, then create your own day. Is that you?
Yes, it was me. Yeah, so I basically learned how to do my own PR and bought into a package when my business became challenged and I could no longer afford the PR agency. And I just followed a structure and I shared it I launched National Working Mums Day, and from one press release at a time that I needed it, generated over £32,000 of the cash to my business.
Wow.
And I got featured 70 radio stations, of which 15 were live interviews that day. I didn't know whether I was speaking north, down, south, what stats I was giving. And I've got all the interviews and I can show you exactly how I did it. And again, the success was unbelievable. It literally saved my business. It was fantastic, but it was great from a credibility point of view as well. So absolutely, if there isn't a celebration day, create your own, because they've all been created for a reason.
So would you say then it would be well worth sitting down and getting a year planner out and planning forward all your information, what you're going to send out, days that you're going to tie in with, events that you're going to tie in with, and to do that at the beginning of the year so you've got a consistent plan? Or would you say ad hoc's okay?
Both. Look, we're all different in how we approach our business as an entrepreneur. We have over 400 celebration days and national days. We've got a free Facebook group that you can join. This morning I was just given a list of what's going on this week. So if anyone was in business and they could ride off the back of it or connect to it somehow. So you can download all those. So yes, you might want a forward plan. And the thing is, all the media work in different ways. So radio is very immediate. You can be on a radio channel within 2 to 4 hours, if not immediate. But a consumer magazine might print 3 months in advance. So, you need to think about, timing now. A lot of the magazines now are putting Christmas to bed already, or have done, or they did it in the summer. So you've got to forward plan with certain things. So absolutely, sit down and plan if you can. But also there's enough, as I said at the beginning now, the rise of the influence, there's over 760,000 influencers. You guys watching this might be one of them. So they want content, they want to talk about things. So there's certainly enough opportunities to be able to do it ad hoc and also to plan.
In just a moment, we're going to be asking Rachael what you shouldn't do when it comes to approaching the media, what the things that can go horribly wrong when you start out on this particular journey. We've made it sound incredibly straightforward, but I'm sure there's going to be a sting in the tail somewhere. More from Rachael Taplin in just a few moments' time here on this edition of Business Connections Live. OK, let's go back and give you some more great advice. Frank Furness was on the program on the 19th of March last year. Great show. We've played it out a couple of times, actually. Always get great response when Frank is on the program. He was on New Media Marketing Business Connections Live 220. And it is a bit of a buzzword when it comes to new media marketing, amongst internet marketers at least anyway. And what he was doing on the show was sharing some of the secrets of successful online and offline marketing. There's no two ways about this, Frank Furness is a legendary global speaker. If you've ever been to one of his events, the chances that you actually buy something on the day are very, very high. He is fantastic. But marketing has changed dramatically over the last couple of years. And I spoke to Frank about the science of using the internet to connect with existing and future clients. It was a great show, but some of the key takeaways, here's Frank Furness.
Okay, so there's a lot of things you've got to do. First thing is get that strategy in place. Get a great website. Find the right kind of people to do the keyword analysis. find out what your audience want. Ask them what they want, then get out there and create the social media. Create once, publish everywhere. And then the other big thing we didn't even mention was please respond to what everyone is doing. So somebody's going to be putting comments on your YouTube, don't just leave it there, go back. Someone's going into your LinkedIn, they're putting some stuff in there, please go back again. And one last thing, Steve, I've just written an ebook, 80-page ebook on the best times to post on social media, because get up in the morning, first thing we do is look at the phone. So is that the best time to post? If anyone wants it, they can just contact me, frank@frankfurness.com, and they can get a free download, an extra bonus for the program. So this is Frank Furness. Thanks for having me on the show. It's been absolutely brilliant.
frankfurness.com, and I don't care what the book's about, I'm going to buy it anyway. Frank Furness, a fantastic show. If you do get an opportunity, watch the entire program. He is just one to watch. If you do get an opportunity to go to one of his talks, as I said, he is a legendary speaker, and he is, I mean, I've got a lot of admiration for Frank, and apart from just being a great speaker, he's also a nice bloke as well. Frank Furness there on Business Connections Live. If you want to check that program out and all the others, there's over 270 programs. There's over it's about 400 hours of content there as well at the moment. If you want to watch some of that, just go to our website at businessconnectionslive.com. My guest on today's show is Rachael Taplin, and we're talking about how you can raise your profile, become an expert within the eyes of the media, and get your expertise, raise your profile, be a little bit famous out there, because probably people want to know about what your business, about what you are doing. And they're always looking as well for someone to come along and give advice or an opinion, because opinions are good. And remember, if you go into a studio and you agree with everybody that's in the studio, then one of you is redundant. So go in there, be loud, be outrageous, be a little bit different, have a different view, have a different take on what's going on in the world and in life at the moment. And the chances are that the broadcasters will pick you up and they will rock and roll and run with you. But the question has got to be, Rachael, what never do you do when approaching the media? Because I'm sure there are a lot of big mistakes and great big gaping manholes that you can fall down and cause yourself to be ostracized by the media, never to be talked to again. What do you do to protect yourself?
I think it's some of the points that we talked about is making sure that you're respecting the journalists and you're giving them an actual story, not like just an advert that we talked about. But it's also making sure that what not to do is just go off on a tangent. You almost become a politician yourself. So when the journalist is asking you questions, you've got slightly your own agenda as well that you need to put a couple of key messages across. So you need to make sure that the story kind of gets round to your way. We all hear the politicians when they speak, they don't actually answer the question, they just bring it back to where. So you're becoming a little bit like that. But also what not to do is not do your own due diligence on yourself. Make sure, because some journalists will take the time to look into you, especially if it's a really full-on story, an in-depth story. They'll want to make sure that they can interview you and ask you anything. They can go off on any tangent, and are you prepared for the good questions and the bad questions? Are there any skeletons in your cupboard? If so, are you prepared on how to answer them? And just make sure you prepare in advance. So ask yourself every question that you don't want to be asked and prepare your answer.
That's very, very true. On our media training, that's exactly one part of the course. What's the worst question you could be asked, and what's your answer? And I think a lot of the time we don't see that. Many times, I would imagine, when you are being called up by a journalist or you are being invited for a radio interview, they're inviting you to come in on your expertise. What about preparation? Can you over-prep for that kind of stuff? Or should it be that you've got the knowledge and it should be all about delivery and content? But, come on, you've got the knowledge. There's no need to actually overly prep on the topic.
No, you can prep, absolutely. You can ask them what the angle of the story, how long the interview might be, so you get an idea of what you can kind of put across yourself. And also sometimes with radio especially, you might have a debate, and actually what side of the debate are you on? Is it, congruent with what you do? Or, does it sit with your values? Because you can be asked, I've been asked to do radio interviews before, and I've kind of gone, which side are you looking for me to be on? Because they just need someone to be a spokesperson. You don't want to agree with something you don't agree with. So yes, you can prepare, but also equally, you want to speak. It's a conversation. PR interview or a debate or a TV is a conversation like we're having now. I don't know what you ask me, but also equally, I have a few things I want to put across myself. So it's just having 2 or 3 key messages. And what I tend to do and advise people to do is just perhaps put them on sticky notepads around on your screen, and then when you've said that key message, you just take it down and say, right, I don't need to mention that again.
It's a very good technique. I remember I did an interview on Radio 2 with another chap, and I don't think he ever drew a breath. It was a very, very difficult threesome. And you've got to be aware of that. You're not going in there to deliver a speech. You're going in there to deliver concise information, aren't you? You're going there to share something that's going to be useful to the viewer, but also give the other people in the studio or in the debate a chance to talk.
Without a doubt. And also, that's a really good point. So if you know how long the interview is, you're going to know how long you've got. If it's commercial radio, it's very much probably sound bites. If it's a news kind of interview, it's just going to be a very quick, 10 seconds max that you're going to reply. So you've got to know to keep your messages short and concise.
Now, let's talk a little bit about media deadlines, because a lot of people don't understand that. They don't really get the essence of what a media deadline is all about. They always feel that they can push it out a little bit. I do know somebody that was invited to be interviewed on an overseas television channel, time zones all over the place, and whenever they were getting the particular emails inviting them to come on, it just didn't work for them, both on preparation time and also on the time of the broadcast. Do you have to make yourself pretty much available 24/7?
No, but obviously, some of you will know exactly where you want to get featured. So if you want to get on that radio show, you know that they might phone you up any time, then you want to make yourself available to it. Certain media outlets will have their own deadlines. So if it's a regional newspaper, they will probably go to print once a week, and they'll go to bed. They'll put it to bed Wednesday or Thursday. It will go to print. Then Friday they start all over again. So they're going to be on tight deadlines Tuesday or Wednesday. So learn the respect and how it works. With a radio show, as I say, they'll sit down and plan an hour, maybe before, and that's not because they're being lazy, it's because they want to be topical. So if you want to get on a radio show, think about the timings and work to them. And also know, like you said at one point, are journalists scary? They're not scary, but yes, they might be abrupt because they are on tight deadlines. So respect it. And if a journalist asks you for something, get it to them straight away. If you're going to pick up the phone and pitch a story to the journalist, I'm probably pretty much guaranteed they're going to say, drop me an email. So have that email ready in advance, because you want to send it over to them while you're fresh in their mind. So always respond as quick as you can.
Okay, listen, before we get on talking about you, when it comes to stats and things like that, do journalists and radio stations and broadcasters, do they like you to be able to deliver statistics for them?
They're all different, actually, Steve. Some do, some don't. But yes, and also a great tip with stats is don't always think, as an entrepreneur that's watching this, you might just have a small database. Don't actually think your stats aren't going to be relevant if you put out something through SurveyMonkey and get the stats, because the way you can get around it, and I've done it many times, is 60% of mums feel they're not achieving the work-life balance. Now, how many mums was in that? You do not know, because I've rated it as 60%. And I've seen national newspapers actually tweak numbers just to get the stats out there. But a great way to do it is actually just use percentages. So I know, I'm not going to let it sound, but I've had it happen to me. That just added a naught at the end. So stats, some people love stats.
I tell you what, out of interest, the next time you see a hair product on the television and they have a look down the bottom, because they always put the stats up there, and it will be something like 47% of 80 women thought that this product was great, and I cannot believe that. So we're talking about, we're talking about just half, 20. 80 people, 40 people actually thought the product was good, 40 thought it was rubbish. And you just think to yourself, the stats, it sounds impressive, I think, doesn't it? And you can do a very, very small survey that will give a view, perhaps. And it is a talking point once again, isn't it?
It's relevant, Steve. It's making sure that it's relevant, because as your industry's changing, if you can talk about something in your industry and you've got some stats behind it of businesses that are feeling that pain or are going through that change, those stats are probably going to be relevant, even if it's a small. In fact, it'll probably work really well. So don't feel that you've got to have massive numbers. And SurveyMonkey is brilliant. Always regionalise as well your stats down, because your stats have to be relevant to the region if you're looking for regional coverage, or to the sector if they're sector specific.
What a great piece of advice that is, to actually knock it down to regional and to industry sector as well. I really like that. Do you know what? If you've watched the programme and you think, well, the only piece of information I got was that piece, then that is valuable enough. Rachel, let's talk a little bit about the services that you offer, because we've kind of skirted around it at the beginning. You do help organisations do this, don't you? You will match companies, SMEs, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs with the appropriate journalists, or at least you'll give them the tools to allow them to do that. Tell us a bit about what you do.
It's gone through the roof, Steve, to be honest. It started off by accidentally speaking and teaching people and sharing my story, how I got on radio and TV. And then I've just created a platform. I put it all in one place. So all my templates, all my training. So I interview journalists and inspire people on how to do their own PR. But it's not just coming from me. It's coming from editors and producers telling you exactly why we want your story. So I have Media Matchmaker Club. So you can go to our website, mediamatchmaker.co.uk, and see the services we have. It's not expensive to use. As I say, I'm not a PR agency. This is you doing your own PR, but I'm giving you all the tools to learn to do it yourself. And journalists want to go direct to source. So we have a free basic profile. You can sign up for free, and you can get lots of training for free in our Facebook group and our community that's working really well. Or you can upgrade and have a VIP pass for 30 days, which is then after that 30 days, it's just a massive £29 a month. It's not expensive. I get such pleasure and such a buzz out of people saying, oh my God, I followed the principles. I took that introductory email, I sent it to the media, I was on into the media, and I was on radio within a week. So those principles apply, that all the tools are there for just £29 a month. Or if you're already in business and you want to connect to the journalists and you want the right type of journalist, so you want to search for all the manufacturing experts or the beauty editors, you can access the media database as well, which is our access all areas, which is just £150 a month. Most PR agencies start from £1,500 a month, so you can access and do your own PR for a maximum £150 a month plus VAT.
Do you know what's interesting? You've never done that before, have you?
In what way?
That pitch before. Those words have never left your lips before, have they? But it is, for that kind of money, if you were going to a PR agency, though, it's going to cost you a lot more than that. But what you're saying is, here are the tools, here are the templates, sit down, here's somebody that was dyslexic and was able to write a press release that was picked up by the press, an idea. It's all about the idea, isn't it? And that's it, I suppose. We all get locked into our businesses. We all get locked into working in our business, but not on the business. And sometimes we lose sight of what's going on outside, don't we?
It's exactly that. It's the Michael Gerber, isn't it? Working on your business, not in your business. Look, this is PR as part of your marketing strategy. It's a small part. You are already, I would imagine, tweeting, writing newsletters, doing your social media. I'm just asking you to take it one step further and approach the media with it. Because as you said earlier, one radio interview could transform your business overnight, and I've seen it happen. They've already got the ready-made audiences. So why? You've got the story, you're in business, you're helping, providing a solution, helping someone. I'm just asking you to share your story to a media outlet that wants to hear your message. And if you're not doing it, you are absolutely missing a trick for your business.
Do you know, it's really good advice. More from Rachel in just a few moments' time. We're nearly at the end of the programme. Just got one more segment to go. She's going to give the key takeaways, the things for you to remember in just a few moments' time. After the programme, it would be awfully nice if you'd like to go to our website as well to find out a little bit about Business Connections Live and what we do and how we can help you as a business. If you're looking, maybe you're feeling at the moment that you don't have the appropriate assets, you don't have the video on your site, maybe you've never ever sat in a radio or TV studio before and you really don't have a Scooby-Doo about what the experience would be like, then get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live and perhaps we can give you a bit of an insight into that. What we do, we help organisations just like yours get media ready. But it's no big deal. Media ready is about taking the knowledge that you have and then presenting it in a compelling way. and surely we should all be able to do that. If you've stood up in front of an audience, then you should be able to deliver on radio. I think being a professional speaker and delivering as an expert in a broadcast environment, I think the two are different, and I think you do need to have the experience against the others to understand that. It isn't the same as standing up and doing your keynote if you are an expert. But we can give you that expertise, we can give you that experience, and if you'd like more details, then get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live, or go to our website, which just happens to be here. I don't know whether it's working or not. The website at businessconnectionslive.com. You can go to our website and you can pick up some information there simply by just logging on. And also we've got a free download called How to Handle the Media. Now, that isn't about what Rachael is talking about. What we're talking about there is constructing your story, the things you should say, the way you should control the interview, how to control the interview, and what to expect. Free booklet, download it, and that could really help you in your future media career. Rachael, then. So then, back to you. I'll tell you what is always nice is a couple of testimonials. Are there any real worked examples that you can give us today that will actually highlight the success that people have had who have come to you and talked to you, and either A, have actually, gone onto your mailing list and have become part of your matchmakers group, or people who have just come to you, taken the advice, run away, but been very successful with it? Can you give us any examples?
We've got loads of them. Just last week we had a lady that saw me. I do a lot of speaking around the country, and she saw my talk speaking about, just write an introductory remark, introduce yourself and just connect to the producers or the journalists. And literally she was on radio, I think within a couple of days. And then she's got asked to go back to do other radio interviews as well. And she was a B2B social media coach. So it was very unique. We've had businesses that have literally sold out of their stock within 24 hours after going on and featuring it and just getting mentioned on BBC Radio 2. I did an interview with a lady that got accidentally interviewed on Virgin Radio with Chris Evans, and she shared her story on literally how she sold out of, I think, a year's stock within an hour, and how she's had to staff up now literally as a result of one radio interview. And that's how we help. We've had so many people as well follow the national celebration days that have done extremely well. There's almost too many to mention. It's just so exciting. It really is. It also, another great way which we didn't touch about is journalists always put shout outs for help with stories, what are called journo requests. So we post those in our group as well that you can access, and you just respond to the journalist saying, I need help with a case study, and that's the easiest way to get publicity.
Now, you're going to be up at the NEC in a couple of weeks' time, aren't you? And we're going to be joining you up there as well, God help us all. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, that's going to be really exciting. It's called the Festival of Enterprise. It's for startups, it's for SMEs, it's for anybody that's looking for funding or to really rapidly grow their business. And it's the 23rd and 24th of October. It's free for anybody to attend. So you can just go to the festivalenterprise.co.uk. You can download your free ticket. And we are hosting, we're in the press area, media area. So Steve is going to be there, Business Connections Live, Media Matchmaker are going to be there. And we've got radio and we've got TV channels there as well. So you can come and meet the journalists, come and chat to us, see how you can register your free profile. But during the day as well, we're doing a meet the journalist session. I think it's 12:30 to 1:30, where we've got all you wonderful journalists on the stage, and you can actually ask your questions to the journalists and get to pitch your story as well. Because this just shows you, it's constantly telling you the stories, they're looking for stories, they're looking for new sources, they're looking for diversity. So it's a great way. You can listen to me and think, oh, well, she can do it, it's easy for her. But listen to other journalists talk about it. And it's a great way if you're looking to increase your business or get more customers, come along to the event. There's so many different workshops there that you can see, not just ours. And obviously there's loads of networking too. And what we're doing, Steve, is we're actually doing some live TV interviews. So if anybody's interested, you can actually secure your own TV interview between myself and actually Steve and be there at the event. So you can find out more there. I'll put it on my profile.
It's going to be an exciting couple of days. So if you are going up to the NEC, please do join us there. If you want more details about how you can have one of those interviews that you can use within your business, within the way you market your business, how to position yourself, raise your profile, make yourself a little bit famous, then obviously get in touch with Rachael. Go to Rachel's profile and you'll find out all everything there is to know about that. And if you go to our website, you'll also find a link to Rachel's site as well that will highlight the ways that you can make a booking effectively. Was that good? I don't know. Did I explain that well? I'm not certain, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so that should be a lot of fun actually when we're up there. Just remind us once again of the date.
It's the 23rd and the 24th of October at the NEC in Birmingham. 23rd,
24th of October. And there's also, we're doing a panel as well, aren't we? Are we up with the journalists at the same time? God help us all.
So at 12:30. Yep. So we've got across the 2 days, we've got two different Meet the Journalists events. So we've got Steve, coming this show here. We've got the editor from from West Midlands Business Today, so the BBC channel. We've got the editor from Radio WM going. We've got the Poster Mail, the editor, and Birmingham Live that's going along as well. So we've got all the different journalists there. We've got regional newspapers. We've got radio group stations going. So it should be brilliant.
Do you know, it sounds fantastic. Looking forward to it. Don't forget, put it in your diary and make certain that you get up there for the event. It's going to be an absolute cracking couple of days and well worth it. There are a lot of events, I think, that are going on at the moment that kind of just slightly miss the mark. Here's something that's going to be valuable to your business, going to be valuable to you, could help you raise your profile, and ultimately raising your profile means it's going to raise your business's profile, which I suppose will mean that you'll be more successful. And that's ultimately what we all want. Is, take yourself out of your comfort zone, be a bit uncomfortable for a couple of days, but enjoy the show and grow your business. Rachael, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. We always ask our guests at the very end to give their key takeaways for the day and also their contact details. Don't forget to say who you are and where you're from. But the key takeaways that people need to remember, I suppose, a summary of what we've talked about over the past hour. So take a breath, who you are, where you're from, and the airwaves are all yours.
Oh, thank you. So my name is Rachael Taplin and my company's mediamatchmaker.co.uk. So I inspire people on how to do their own PR and connect you to the journalists. The key takeaways from today is to make sure you make the emotional connection. PR is all about telling your story, not selling your business. So make sure you tell, not sell your business. The other connection is take time to connect to the right type of journalists. You don't really want your press release just to end up on the newsroom. You want to go to the manufacturing editor or the beauty editor or the fashion writer to just take that bit of time to find out the right type of journalist that you want. And also make sure you match wherever you want to get featured. Are your customers there? Are your prospects there? There's no point in going on to radio or into a newspaper, or you're going into a magazine like Men's Health if you're targeting women. Think about making sure the media outlet targets actually your customers and make sure your message reflects that audience. So take the time to read the headlines of the newspapers. How long, how short are they? Are they technical or are they in layman's terms? And obviously get your key messages across. PR is about an end in mind. What are your key messages? You're not there to just kind of there for their sake and sharing your story. You're there to get a few key messages. So what is it you're trying to achieve? I'm trying to tell you that go to Media Matchmaker, sign up for your free VIP media pass and download everything free for 30 days. And hopefully then we'll inspire you to do your own PR. What's your key message? And enjoy it. PR is fun. It's the most amazing way to get new customers and raise your profile and build credibility. So give it a go.
Great advice, and you'd be daft not to listen to her. Rachael, thank you very much indeed for joining us on today's program. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. A real insightful hour, and I just hope that somebody somewhere will pick up the mantle and run with it, because honestly, the advice you've given today has been absolutely fantastic. So, Rachael, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's been our pleasure. I look forward to seeing you in Birmingham in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you.
Rachael Taplin there, and a fantastic program. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Some really, really good advice. What I picked up, tell, don't sell. She's so right on that. Target your journalists, make certain you're talking to the right publications, the right journalists. And also, from that matter as well, is your audience there? Ask yourself that question. Is your audience actually where you're going to be talking to them? Of course it is. So, just those 3 pieces of advice alone, I think, are worth it. Do watch the program again if you missed anything. Go back. Don't forget there's over 270 programs at Business Connections Live. If you want to see all our business shows, if you want to be on the show, get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live. And we'd love to have you on the show. We'll tell you how you can go about doing that as well. Who's coming up on future programs? Rupert Honeywood is going to be on the show very shortly. He's going to be telling you how to grow your business, how to use the likes of LinkedIn and other social media platforms as well to grow your list, so you've got more people to contact and get in touch with. Penny Haslam, the award-winning inspirational speaker, is going to be joining me on the show. Should we run those credits? Warren Knight, the professional speaker, he's going to be coming in and he's going to be talking about his upcoming book as well. And we'll be back again next week with another great show right here on Business Connections Live. But until we do it all again, from myself, Steve Highland, and also Rachael Taplin, have a great week. Talk to you soon. Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel.